All right, I want to show you how to factor fast using the A times C method. All right, so let's start off with an easy example. Let's look at, suppose we want to factor 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. All right, always check first to see if there's a GCF, which this one doesn't have. So we're going to do A times C method. So here's our A, here's our C, and this term in the middle is B. All right, so A times C, 2 times negative 3, that's negative 6. So you want to know what multiplies to give you negative 6, but has a difference of 5. All right, well, think of ways to get 6. You can get 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. 1 and 6 has a difference of 5 because 6 is negative. We have to do a difference. So I'm going to use 6 and negative 1. All right, when you factor, you got to remember some couple of things. When you factor, when you're done, it's always going to look like a binomial times a binomial. So we're going to have an x and an x right now. Binomial times a binomial. Okay, so now here's the thing about factoring this thing quickly. I know my inner or my outers have got to be 6 and negative 1. So one of these is going to be, so these are my inners, and here's my outers. And I know I've got to get one of those multiple, or when they multiply, have to be 6 and negative 1. All right, we'll look back at the original. 2x squared. There's only one way to multiply to get a 2. That's 2 and 1. So those are going to be locked in, 2 and 1, and the 1's implied. All right, now since I've got that 2x locked in, that means these outers are going to have to give me positive 6. So 2 times what gives you 6? Well, that's positive 3. So that means my inner has to be negative 1. All right, so since I've already got the x there, this is going to have to be minus 1. All right, let's look at another example. Let's step it up a bit. Let's make it a little bit more difficult. All right, let's try this one. 12x squared minus 11x plus 2. All right, here again, no GCF. That's got to come out first. All right, so let's go. 12 times 2 is 24. What multiplies to give you 24, but adds to give you negative 11. All right, there's lots of different ways to get 24. Let's start the process of elimination. I want to add to get negative 11. So what can I do to get 24? 1 and 24. Well, that adds to give me 25. 2 and 12. That adds to give me 14. 3 and 8. There I go. There's my 11. And since I want negative 11, I want negative 3 and negative 8. Okay, so let's get ourselves set up with our binomials. All right, why does this make this one a little bit more difficult? Well, 12, there's different ways to get 12. Lots of different ways to get 12. Look at the 2. However, not so bad because there's only one way to get 2. I get 1 and 2. Okay, so now that's going to lock in my inners and my outers. So since I've already got a 1 here, my inners are going to have to multiply to give me negative 3. And my outers are going to have to multiply to give me negative 8. Because my 1 and my 2 are locked in. Okay, lead terms are never negative. So that means this has to say a positive 1. It has to say positive, but I want to get a multiple of 3. So this is going to become 3, and my 1's going to be negative. All right, how about the 8? Here again, I don't want my lead term to be negative, but I want a negative 8. So this is going to have to be a positive 4, and this is going to be a negative 2. Now, like I said, check in your answers, multiply them back together, and make sure that they give you the original statement. All right, let's look at one more. Here again, step it up a little bit. All right, so let's try this one. 6x squared plus x minus 12. All right, A times C method. 6 times negative 12 is negative 72. I want to multiply to get negative 72, but have a difference of 1. All right, so how about 9 and negative 8? Because I want a positive 1. All right, so let's set it up. And then my x's. All right, inners and outers. All right, so here's where you have to think a little bit, because there's multiple ways to get 6 and there's multiple ways to get 12. So I have to figure out inners and outers, how to set these numbers up. All right, well, let's pick. Let's try to see, can we make our inners be 9? All right, what's going to give us 9? And I want a positive 9, so this is going to be 3, and this is going to be 3. I get a positive 9. Because 3 goes into 12, and 3 goes into 6. So make sure they still got to work with those lead, the A and C terms. All right, so that means I'm going to make my outers be negative 8. All right, so all right, now I've got my lead terms have to be 6. I've already got my 3, so this is going to have to be a 2, which is going to make my last term here negative 4. And here again, double check. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. My middle terms are positive 9, negative 8, which gives me a positive 1. And my lead terms, 2x plus 3x is 6x squared. All right, things to watch out for. All right, patterns. So like if you want to factor something like 4x squared minus 9. This is called the difference of two squares. In order for this to factor, it has to be a minus, and these have to be perfect squares, the 4 and the 9. All right, it's dots for short. All right, the middle term is dropped out. Where have we talked about before when we multiply two binomials together that the middle term drops out? Hopefully you remember conjugates. So one of these is plus and one is minus to make them conjugates. All right, now, so what's the square root of 4? It's 2. And what's the square root of 9? It's 3. So when you factor dots, it's always going to be the conjugates. Now, like I said, this doesn't work if it's a plus in here, because there's nothing, because what's happening to that middle term? It's adding out. So positive and negative, so this has to be a minus, and they have to be perfect squares. All right, don't forget, warning, GCFs come first, so always look to see if you factor out a GCF first. If so, that goes in front of your final answer.